What I want to show you in this video is something I call a split cube. It's where I have one cube and I take it and split it into two different cubes. This has a number of handy features in terms of design. It gives me the ability to do something like in this particular case where I want a connector between my ropes that I'm using. I can take that one cube, which would then possibly have a pendant on it, and I can split it into two cubes so that it can also connect my rope. In the case of this piece here, what the split cube does for me is it gives me a place where I've got 4 beads, and I can then build a magnet casing, and then I can take the ellipse up either side from that. Here's another example of a split cube where I've got a magnet casing, and then I took and I split that cube into 2 different cubes, built those sides, and in this case I also came back. So a split cube join, if you will, and we'll look at that in another video. So to do a split cube, the first thing we have to do is set up for the split. So what we're going to do here, we've got a magnet casing, a little bit of rope here, and I want to do the setup cube in order to be able to split. So I'm going to build a wall with 2 beads on the ceiling. Now I'm going to do this on opposite faces. So when I refer to a face, here's a front face, there's a back face, and then 2 side faces. So on the front face, I'm going to put 2 beads on the ceiling and 1 on each side. So I've got 4 beads there. And on the side face, I'm just going to put 1 side and 1 ceiling. So this now is the back face, or the third wall. Go through that floor, and again I want 2 beads. So this is the opposing face, or the opposing wall, and I'm going to put 1 side bead, and then 2 ceiling beads. And then this is my last, and this is an edge. So I'm going to have just the 1 ceiling bead here. Like so. So now what I'm going to do, if you look at this from the top, 2 beads on the front face, 2 beads on the back face, and 1 on each edge. I'm going to come up in between, so up the side bead and in between those 2 beads. And I'm going to put a slightly contrasting bead here. It really doesn't show. It just helps me as I'm building the 2 cubes to know which one is the shared bead. And so I'm coming out this bead here. I'm going to go diagonally across and split the 2 beads on the back face, like so. And what that does is it seats that bead in the middle there, and if you can see, now what I end up with is I have 4 beads on this side and 4 beads on that side, as long as I share that middle bead there. So what I want to do is come back in to that middle bead. This will also help secure it. And one of the things that does happen is these 2 floors have a tendency to kind of slant down. So you really need to understand the stitch well and understand where you're going here. What we're going to do is we're going to build a cube off of this side using these 4 beads. Then we're going to share that bead and build a cube off of this side as well. So let's do that. We're going to build 1, 2, 3, our first wall, and go into that floor. Now we're going to build our second wall. This is just like any other cube now. We're just using those 4 beads as a floor. Come through the shared side and into that floor, through the next floor, pick up 2 beads, side and ceiling, through the shared side, through the floor, and then here's my last wall. This is where I will go through that floor, then up the side bead, and put the one ceiling bead in place. And so what you see I have now is I've got one cube kind of coming off the side here, 4 beads on the ceiling, and then here's the 4 beads that are going to make the other cube. Now I could carry on with this side here, but what I like to do is I like to get this cube built right now, because I find when I come back to join to that, it's a little hard to see if it's still kind of down here slanted like that. So I just go ahead and build the other cube right now. So I'm going to come back through. Now remember, this is the shared bead, and I'm going to build off of these 4 beads now. My first wall will require all 3 beads. Go through that. And then go through that next floor. You just have to pay attention to which 4 beads you're working on there. So that is my next floor. You'll also notice that now I'm going counterclockwise. And that is just the nature of this split. You need to be comfortable kind of going either way. And we can turn that around once we get done with this one cube. Okay, there's that one. And then into that next floor, which is this one here, and then 1, 2, shared side through the floor, and then here is my last one, so that is my floor right there, and I'll come up that side bead from wall 1 and put on the one ceiling bead to complete this cube. And back through that floor. And there you go. And now if I look at the top, I've got one cube over here going that way, and one cube over here. And I can just choose to carry on either side there. So if I came up here, I could just do as many cubes as I wanted, depending on what shape I was going to make. Now, one of the things you do need to be aware of is that you already built this cube, so as you're doing your count down the other side, you need to know that that cube is already in place and count it. But that is how you do a split cube.